Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
We are so glad to have you this Sunday because you're going to meet a real citizen of the world. You know how we love to bring colorful people and people who have had colorful lives and experiences. Well, this is true of today's guest. Her name is Dr. Irmeli Sjolie. And it's not pronounced as you're going to see it rolling across your screen in a little while, but that's how you pronounce it. She's a native of Finland, but has literally lived all over the world. And this week and next week, you're going to have an opportunity to learn about the changes she's experienced, how she's learned about attitudes and confidence. And those are the things that gave her the thrust to go all over the world with 3 distinct careers, the accumulation of multitudes of degrees and credentials, and the fluent mastery of 10 languages. She's been in the process a wife and a mother, and she's a grandparent. And so you're going to enjoy meeting Dr. Irmeli Sjolie. And Dr. Sjolie, thank you so much for coming such a long way to be on our program way out here in West Texas. And I want us to start the program by you just telling us a little bit about your background in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, as you said already, I have been born in Finland, but because my father was working in the Foreign Office, he was always getting assignments in different countries, so we lived 2 years in one place, 2 years somewhere else, and so on. So I have lived in Sweden, and I have lived in Holland. I have lived
Italy.
Later in Italy. I have lived in many countries in Turkey, and then of course later, when I was already a grown-up, I married a Brazilian, moved to Brazil, and then after 20 years I said, oh, I'm longing for going back to Europe, so I came back to Europe. I married a Norwegian, and with him we traveled to Africa and back to Brazil and to Norway, and you know, then when he died I went back to Finland, but then I had some friends in Canada and I lived in Germany for a while, and that's how it's going on. My father's last jobs were, like you mentioned already, in Italy. He was 9 years ambassador in Rome, and his last post was in India, and that was very interesting to go there. And because since he was an ambassador, I had the car, could drive around to Accra, and we went to Kashmir and all those places. So I have really been to many places.
You've seen everything.
Most things, and you know, it has always not been so easy, because you can imagine as a child, I was 7 years old, and
you'd be uprooted and
yeah, and he was posted in Istanbul, and they put me into the British high school for girls, and I didn't know a word of English, of course. That's when I learned my English. And then when I got my friends there and I was very happy there, then he was transferred to Paris, and then there I was in Paris. I didn't know a word of French, and again the new school, and you know, this went on and on. I think the worst thing was really when he was transferred to Holland. When I had finished high school in Finland, I had my boyfriend, my friends. I had very good degrees from high school. I could have gotten into any university, you know. And then my father said, no, my family has to come with me. I cried for 3 months.
But your mother all this time adapted beautifully.
Oh, my mother, yes, but you know, after my father died, that's when she
blossomed.
Really started her own career, because while she was always a gymnastic person, you know. She loved physical things. So when we were in India, she took exams as a yoga teacher, and she really brought yoga to Finland and wrote a yoga book and started teaching yoga, and that's what she did after my father died.
Well, it seems like everybody you know has made a real positive contribution wherever they've been. For example, your grandfather was one of the most famous men in Finland because of his artistic ability. Tell us about him.
Well, he was he came from a town on the west coast of Finland. His father was a farmer, but as a young boy he worked at the station. You know, in those days they sent telegrams. So he would sit there, and when a telegram came, he took it to the rich men of Turku. And they saw him sitting there carving, and they said, boy, this boy has talent. Let's get money and send him to Paris. So they sent him to Paris. He went together with a very famous Finnish painter, Axel Gallen-Kallela. It's now 150 years from his birthday, so they have an exposition, a special exposition, and they have the room where these two guys lived in Paris. It was 7 square meters. So when one was sleeping, the other had to sit.
Because that was a huge part of the history in the art world.
Yeah. So he has made very big statues in Helsinki, in Tampere, all
so
over.
Anywhere you go in Finland today, you can see his monumental statues in the parks and in front of government buildings, but also he did the marble facades across buildings. So the beautiful old buildings were his work.
Oh yes, yes. But my other grandfather was also a famous man because he was the founder of our greatest newspaper, the Helsingin Sanomat.
Oh,
so that's why I'm more towards his side about writing.
To words instead of art.
Yeah.
But let's go back to your parents, because I'm really fascinated with parents who tell us about, were they disciplinarians, or were you mostly raised by nannies, or what?
Yeah, we had nannies. But then, of course, when we grew older, we didn't need nannies anymore. So now they let us do our things. Yeah, I remember the only thing my mother said to me, come home at 1 o'clock at night and don't go to the apartment of strange men.
Whoa, we need more mothers like that today.
Yeah, but otherwise, you know, Finland is a small country, and we were at home and we were in the country in the summer. It was family life.
We've got to take a break right now. Didn't I promise you this would be an exciting interview, and you've got lots more to come. We'll see you in just a minute. Come right back with us.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.